Yay.
So thank you and welcome to this open webinar about how you can better yourself by removing any obstacles and stop hiding from those things that you know are holding you back. So my name is Steve Cushman and I am a life mastery coach based out of Saskatoon. It's an honor to have you on this call, to be willing to be here. So a little background and share with you about where I came from. I'm a small town guy from Saskatchewan, and in 1998 I started working at a place called Camp Easter Seal. And that was the reason I mentioned 1998 is because I was just turning 20 years old, and that's when I found a real life direction for myself. Because sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes you don't necessarily just kind of grow up saying, you know, I'm for sure this is what I'm going to be. And I didn't know for sure. And so I started working at this place called Camp Easter Seal, and that was a summer camp supporting people with intellectual and physical disabilities. And the reason that it gave me my life's purpose and direction for my life is that I was helping people full-time accomplish things in life that they never thought possible. I was helping them experience things that they never thought that they'd be able to experience, and they never thought they were capable of experiencing. And so in supporting people, it helped me open up my heart and just be my true self. And so I owe so much to my time and experience at Camp Easter Seal. From there, I started working at special care homes, nonprofit organizations, school systems, working and supporting more people with disabilities, students with disabilities, and helping them set goals for themselves, helping them live a fulfilling life and help them shine as bright as they want to as bright as they want to shine. And so life was good. I was helping people, and a lot of times it was one-on-one, helping people just kind of here and there in very small groups, and life was good. Then all of a sudden in 2006, I put myself in a situation where I was completely out of control. And now anybody else that's on this call, have anybody else ever experienced something like that in life where they just kind of felt like, ooh, this is kind of out of my control, or I don't really know what's happening right now? I mean, maybe or maybe not, but this is a time where I was completely out of control, and I was caught myself in a situation that was basically, plain and simple, a street fight. The reason I was in it is because I was protecting other people. I saw a bully acting up and basically bullying a crowd of people, and so then I said, somebody's got to stand up to him. And so I'm not a fighter by any means, but I said, somebody's got to stand up to him. So I stood up to him. Little did I know that was it put myself in a very difficult situation, because not only did I get beat up, I was put in the hospital, and I was actually put in the hospital for 5 days. And today I sit before you with something that they call an acquired brain injury. Now, the reason that I mention this is because all the service and support that I was providing for people with obvious physical and intellectual disabilities, that came full circle, because now all of a sudden I have a disability. And all of a sudden I was dealing with something that I had no control over. And so I spent the next couple of years of my life trying to find myself again, dealing with learning how to live with this acquired brain injury, learning how to gain my thoughts again, learning how to become the person that I'd always been before that and leading up to that. Because I'll be honest, life was good for me, but at a time I was living so freely that I thought I was invincible. And it's because of that I put myself in that situation and put myself there. So that's a short story about, you know, how everything came full circle for me in regards to helping and supporting people. So not only was I providing support for people, that all of a sudden I had to find and provide support for myself. And so I continued to work and support people with disabilities in the care home industry. And then all of a sudden in 2012, I met this guy named Blair Singer. And now I'm wearing a shirt called Blair Singer Training Academy, because I sit before you today as a certified trainer for Blair Singer Training Academy. And I met Blair, and I just knew that I wanted more of what he was sharing. And so I went to my first program of Blair's. It was called Sales Explosion. And the reason I went there is because I thought I just wanted to go and learn how to increase my revenue for my business, which of course was my DJ business. Now I know I never mentioned that previously, but as I was working in care homes, I was also working as a DJ, providing entertainment and enlightenment and programs for people. And so I went to that first program trying to increase the sales of my business. Now, Annie, you on this call, you might have done the same thing. Went into that very first sales explosion thinking, it's all about increasing my revenue. And then as soon as you, revenue in my business, but then as soon as you went to that program, you learned something about yourself that was so much deeper than that. Would you agree, Annie? Yeah, thank you. So I learned that Blair, although he was helping me increase sales in my business, that he was also helping me become a better leader. Because for years, I've been in a leadership role, helping and supporting people, helping people achieve things that they never thought possible. But Blair helped me become a better leader and spread my wings and offer my services to more people in the world. And so I quickly took one program to another program, which all of a sudden led to me becoming a certified trainer with Blair Singer Training Academy. So I sit before you as a member of this training academy, over 300 people worldwide. Annie, one of them included on this call. And I thank you so much for being on this call, Annie. And we are over 300 members worldwide that help people overcome their own obstacles, help people become better leaders by focusing on personal development, help them increase sales in their business or whatever their sales might be in their life, and help them build championship teams. And so that's why I started this webinar, and that's why I invited you guys to be a part of this little webinar here today. So at this time, that's a little bit about me, but at this time I want to thank you for taking time to be on this call. You could be anywhere else right now. Maybe you could be going spending time with your family. Maybe you could be focusing on some work and things that you need to do, but you decided to be here on this call, and for that I'm truly grateful, and I appreciate that. And so I just want you to know that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you get as much value out of this call here today, just to show my appreciation for you being here. Would that be okay if I try to give you guys as much value as possible today? Awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the reason that I'm doing this webinar, I want to help more people. I want to be able to spread my joy, my love with more people and help them become better leaders for themselves. I believe that everybody has an opportunity to do something great in their life because everybody is unique. How many people would agree that you are unique and there's probably nobody else in the world like you? Yeah, that's right. Awesome. And that is reason to celebrate. So if you guys don't mind, I'd like you just to give you a little round of applause for being you. Thank you. Thank you. You're powerful. You have a huge, massive spirit. Tracy says she can hear us, by the way, so that's good. She messaged that, so that's fabulous. So I believe you have a massive spirit that needs to shine bright because you are unique to you, and what I'm talking about today is helping you and allowing you to become the biggest, best version of yourself. What I'm talking about today is it's not about saying that there's a problem with you, or it's not about saying that I'm broken in some way. It's just simply saying that I'm willing to move forward. I'm willing to do what it takes to try to make a better version of myself. So that's what we're talking about today. Because if there's one thing you need to know, it's that you're powerful. And there's nobody powerful like you because you are unique to whatever it is you have to offer to the world. So I want to make sure that you understand that. So you guys understand that you're powerful? Yeah. That you're strong? Awesome. Okay, so this is me being me. This is me just being true. I need to admit one more thing, if you guys don't mind. I spent a lot of time hiding, and that's what I did on my Facebook Live today, and maybe you guys saw it, maybe you didn't, but I've been hiding for a long time. I left my position in a care home industry, working and supporting people with disabilities. I left there 2.5 years ago to become a leader for myself and for others, to become a coach, to become a personal development coach. And I fought for so long trying to hide behind things like the title of life coach because I was trying to resist it. I was everything in my power. I just did not want to be called a life coach. I don't know why, but it's exactly what I do. I mean, it's what I've been doing for years. So if I can give you guys a little bit more background on some of the work that I did working in care homes. This past year, I coach a softball team called the Special Olympics softball team, and that's specifically for people with intellectual disabilities. providing them with teamwork, providing them with an environment where they can feel safe, where they can get physical activity, but learn to make friends and build relationships and shine brightly, whatever it is that looks like for them. And so this past year, I'm so proud to share that one of the residents that I coached, not that I coached, that I supported in the care home for my last 2.5 years working there, he came in there in a very difficult state. He came in there, he self-inflicted diabetes. And that's because it was very, very poor habits that he had in his life. And so eventually he was diagnosed with diabetes. And so all of a sudden he was taking insulin regularly. He had to check his insulin levels and watch his blood sugar and do that stuff regularly because because of the life choices that he was making for himself. And so something that I'm very proud to share is that I was able to help him lose the weight, to change habits in his life, to help him become the best version of himself so that all of a sudden he could stop taking his own insulin levels multiple times a day so that he could shine his light bright upon the world. And so not only did he help himself in doing that, but he's a national champion with Special Olympics. So that's why I mentioned that, is because he started playing Special Olympics softball, and 2 to 3 years after he had started playing softball, something that he just wanted to do to try to make more friends and just to get some physical activity, I'm proud to say that he's a national champion in the sport of softball. Something I'm very proud of, because from where he started, thank you ladies, thank you. From where he started to where he is today is leaps and bounds beyond anything that he thought possible. So he's a national champion in softball. He works regularly. He builds relationships. He shines his light bright upon his community and where he lives. And it's something that I'm truly proud about. And I just wanted to share that with you, because that's a little example, a case study, if you will, about how I've been able to help people. And so I just want to be able to help you, if that's okay. I just want to help you. So I'm going to share my iPad with you just to share a couple of flip charts. Would that be okay if I did that? Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. So I'm going to share my iPad, and I'm going to do a little bit of writing with you guys here today. So give me a thumbs up if you can see my iPad. Awesome. Thank you so much. Here's the thing. Everybody has the ability to succeed in life if they can overcome the biggest obstacle that they are facing in their life, which is this right here. Perfect circle, right, Annie?
Perfect. You've been practicing, I can see.
Well, yeah, notability is allowing me to do that one. So this circle represents one thing that we all have in common. It works differently for everyone, but it represents the one thing that we all have in common, and that, of course, is our brain. So this is your brain. So this is going to represent your brain, everybody. And so if we're going to talk about your brain specifically, I mentioned I share this little piece on the top of your brain, because this little bit, which might be maybe 10% of your brain, that's the part of our brain that scientists and research tells us that we can actually use consciously. So that's the conscious part of our brain. That's what we use consciously daily. And so the reason I mention that is because that then leaves 90% of our brain used for something else. And now in a live coaching sequence, I would be asking everybody to answer questions. And I suppose maybe you ladies are familiar with this. So would you be willing to answer some questions for me? Awesome. So thank you. So if 10% of our brain is something that we use consciously, what is the other 90% of our brain?
Subconscious.
Our subconscious. Thank you so much. Our subconscious. So our subconscious part of our brain is, of course, all of our experiences, all of our memories, and things that we don't necessarily think about all the time until our memory gets triggered. So for example, do you mind if I give you an example?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Oh, thank you. So Annie, let's say that you and I are friends a long time. We've known each other about 4.5 years now, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Annie, that's just a hypothetical situation. I say, Annie, we got a pretty good relationship. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So all of a sudden one day I come up to Annie and I say, Annie, you know, I'm a little bit short on cash right now. And if I could just borrow $10,000 from you, I'd be sure to pay you back as soon as I can. All right. So Annie, what happens? What is something that you might say to yourself when I ask you that question?
Well, this is a very good example, Steve, and I can give you what's coming up for me, even though I know the answer to this, but I tell you, I've had the experience. I would actually, I get a reaction because I have actually lent money to my brother. I signed a bank contract and then he didn't pay back the bank. He had a car accident, so he thought just because the car was a write-off, he shouldn't pay, and the bank came after me. Right. And since then, doesn't matter who it is, when they ask me for a loan, I have a physical reaction. And even you saying this, and I know you're doing an example, I'm actually reacting. And I would just go, no. But then I would remove myself from you, because then I feel bad that I don't want to give you the money because you need help, but I'm really pissed off now. So, well, I'm not really pissed off with you, but logically I get it. But the memory just came right up, and it's been 30 years and it's still there. And I will not give anybody money. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's give Annie a round of applause for sharing that. We thank you, Annie. I do appreciate that. And how about that? I mean, so I'm giving an example here, just a hypothetical situation example. And what it does, so this is a real life example, everyone, of how I was able to trigger something in Annie's subconscious. Now, here's the thing, is that as soon as I asked Annie that question, or as a friend, if I were to ask her that question, there's no doubt in my mind that our relationship would change automatically. Not because of who I am as a person, but because I was able to trigger something in her subconscious. And so when Annie said, there's no way, I'm not going there, I'm not going to share that money with you or anybody ever again, she started talking to herself into something in the form, something that we call within our world of we call it your little voice. And if you just asked yourself, what little voice, that's the little voice I'm talking about. Looks like somebody just jumped onto this call. I thank you for joining in, Dans.
It's Dan Cuss.
How you doing?
Who's that, Annie?
Dan Cuss.
No, Dan Cuss. Hi, Dan. I'm going to mute you, buddy. It's great to have you on the call, my friend. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to continue on with this little demonstration. So in regards to your little voice, so that's the little voice. If you just ask yourself, what little voice, that's the little voice that I'm talking about. That one that says all kinds of crazy things just when you least expect it, or when you're trying to accomplish or do something that you have never done before. Or here's the thing, little voice can come up in all kinds of different shapes, different voices. Maybe it comes up as a choir, but it's saying all kinds of those little things like, I'm too tired, I'll do it tomorrow, I'm not smart enough, I'm too tall, I'm not skinny enough. All those crazy things that your little voice starts saying to you is all things coming from your subconscious. And so if we're able to control our little voice and get it out of the way, then we can become the person that we want to be. We can overcome whatever obstacles we're looking to overcome if we can learn to control your little voice. So now I do have a couple of people on this call right now that have experienced little voice training. So if you ladies, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Would either of you ladies be willing to share a little insight about how little voice training has maybe helped you move forward? Laura?
Sure, I'd love to share, Steve. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I love being put on the spot now. My recent experience with my little voice mastery is overcoming the limiting beliefs, the imagined limiting beliefs and actually determining which ones are real or imagined, and finding out that most of them are imagined. And I just recently, like I was talking to you earlier about trying to condense a 5-year plan into a 1-year plan. And I actually found myself saying repeatedly, is this realistic? Is this realistic? And, you know, there are parts of it that are completely realistic, but in the past, I would have completely eliminated the goal that I had set simply because it's not immediately achievable. You know, if I can't do this right now, I don't know how to get there. So, well, it's not realistic. And so in doing that today, even this afternoon, I finally had to just have I had to check myself, and which is what I learned. I had to call myself, I had to stop my thinking, and I had to look at it from an intellectual perspective, that everything that I was planning has been done by other people, and there's no reason why it can't happen for me. I need to figure out how to get there, but I will get there. And so I had to check myself, because everything that I've always wanted to do is achievable. I have to work on my pert. I love it. But everything's achievable. You know, I just have to get out of my own way. And I learned that. I had to check myself. I had to stop my voice from saying this isn't realistic because I don't know how to do it right now. And now it's just a matter of figuring out the steps. So
awesome. Awesome. Round of applause for Laura for sharing. Thank you so much, Laura. That's beautiful. So that, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, anybody that sees this recording or takes this in, you're capable of doing it. You're capable of overcoming your little voice if you practice some of the techniques that we teach within Blair Singer Training Academy. So I'm going to just going to hold this up. So this is a best-selling book that Blair Singer, my coach and mentor, wrote. And look, Annie's even got it right beside her as well. That's how powerful this book is. Right, all the tabs, talking about the techniques. So there's 21 techniques in this book on how you can control and get out of the way, get your little voice out of the way. You might not completely eliminate it, but at least if you can get control of it and get it out of the way, you can get yourself in motion towards whatever it is you're looking to accomplish. So thank you so much again for sharing that. Both of you ladies, I do very much appreciate. Round of applause for sharing and talking about that. So here's the thing, I'm gonna share my screen again. And I don't want this to be a long, drawn-out webinar, but I just want people to get an understanding that they're in control of their own destiny, of whatever they want to accomplish. And the reason that I'm doing this webinar is to give people an opportunity to learn, to be in a safe environment and take that step out of their own comfort zone to wherever it is they want to go. And so here's the thing. I'm going to share my screen again to give you guys just a couple of more examples of what I'm talking about, of how we can do things. So if we're looking at my iPad, again, we're talking about our little voice, getting in control of that little voice. And the way we do that is to practice the 21 techniques. We don't necessarily get out of the way, but if we can control it, then we have the capability of doing amazing things. Because here it is, we are all, this is us, where we're starting from. This is you. I know maybe it doesn't look like you specifically, but this is you, and this is you in your current state of where you are. Maybe life's pretty good. Maybe there's nothing really to complain about, but you've hit a plateau and you just want to take yourself to the next level. That's what we're going to do. So when we're talking about taking yourself to that next level, that is all about making yourself this bigger, better version of yourself. So that's the next level. It's overcoming that obstacle. It's getting over that plateau, because we all reach a ceiling in our lives. We all reach a certain level of accomplishment. So like I said earlier on in this call, it's not about being broken. I'm not trying to coach people that are just saying that, oh, my life is terrible, I'll never accomplish anything. Maybe you're achieving lots of great things in your life already, but you just, like I said, hit that plateau. Or maybe there are things broken, and I can help you with that as well. But this is all about just simply being willing to get better. And if you want to become this bigger, better version of yourself, just please understand that the only thing that's in the way of you accomplishing that is your little voice. Is your little voice. That little voice in your head that tells you that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough. And so if we can control that, you're capable of amazing things to let your light shine. So the reason that I'm sharing these things with you today is because I've created this environment for people to have an opportunity to reach that next level in their life. Because I'll give you another quick example, and Annie, you're going to know this one very well, and I'm sure you've shared it. Maybe even Dan has shared it with people as well. But I'm going to give you guys a little representation of a cup, right? Everybody see the cup? Thank you. So this cup, we're just gonna say that this cup is representing your life. Okay? So the cup representing your life. And when regards, so if we're gonna talk, if you can take yourselves off of mute if you don't mind, anybody that's listening right now, if we're going to fill this cup with different pieces of your life, what could we put in that cup? If this cup was holding different pieces of your life, what types of things would it be holding?
Family.
All right. Family. What else did I hear?
Values.
Yeah, values. Thank you, Dan. What else? What other things are a part of your life?
Your work.
Finance.
So there's finances, money. That's a part of everybody's life, right? You can't avoid that. Maybe you have your business.
Yeah.
Or your career. On top of family, what other, Annie, what's your focus? What do you help, Annie, what do you help people with?
Relationships.
That's right. Thank you so much. So in your life, you have relationships, whether it's with your personal family or whether it's people at work or people that you go to the gym with or people that you ride the bus with. Those all the types of things. These are all pieces of your life. So family, relationships, business, career, values, money, finances. We could also say your house is in there as well, right? So where you live. Those are all pieces of your life. And if we're gonna refer to all these things, we could refer to those as the content of your life. And the reason that I share that is because all of these pieces put together is the content, the pieces that make up your life. Now there's gonna be much more things to your life. These are just a few examples that we gave. But the reason that I share that is because on top of that content, I wanna share what happens to the content if this cup represents your life. What happens if we get a crack in the cup? What happens to all that content in your life? Anybody?
Spills out.
Right, it spills out. So it starts leaking out of the cup. So if you're putting, no matter what you're putting in your cup, if it's a cup of life, it's your business, your relationships, your finances, all those sorts of things would start to fail. At the same time, if you were just looking at a regular cup, if you had coffee, tea, water, whatever you have in the cup, if you get a crack in it, it's going to start to leak out. And so the idea is that we want to make sure that we hold this cup together. And in order to do that, we want to refer to this cup as the context. The context, or as the case may be with this particular situation, with this particular webinar, we will talk about it. We could also call it the environment. Okay, the context or the environment. So if we were to if we were to compare the two things, compare them, what do you think is more important? The content in your cup or the context or the environment of your life cup together? Which do you think is more important? Any guesses?
Obviously, the environment.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Context, Stevie, context.
The content? Oh, Dano, thanks, buddy. So Dan, yes, the content is very important to our life because it's all the things that make up our life. But in order to hold those things together, to hold a tight context, we have to consider that the context or the environment is more important than the content itself. Because the content will always be changing. No matter what you think throughout your life, the content will always be changing. There'll always be new things that you're putting into your cup. A lot of things will stay true, like your values or your family. Those things might never change. But if you can hold a really tight context, hold them together, then you'll give yourself the ability to prevent any leakage, to prevent any cracks from coming into the cup. And so we do that by creating rules for ourselves. Or something within our world of Blair Singer Trading Academy, we call it your code of honor. So you have to create rules or a code to hold that context together. And that's what this program is all about. That's why I'm sharing this webinar with you today, is because I want to help people live, I want to provide people with an environment that is strong, provide an environment that is safe for people to share, and provides them the opportunity to accomplish all the goals that they want in life. Because if we're going to continue this, I could teach forever, and I don't want to overwhelm all you guys with a ton of information. But this is what this webinar is all about: providing people with a safe context or a safe environment where they can learn and grow from one another. Because everybody has something beautiful to share. And if I can provide people with a nice, safe environment where they're willing to share, then I know that I can help people achieve things that they never thought possible in their life. Tracy, bulldogs. Tracy does have bulldogs at home. Context, connection is poor. Well, thank you, Dan. We got it. Awesome. So for anybody just watching this, I'm just looking at some of the chat and in the review within this context, or within this webinar here today. All right. So here's that's me going off on a little bit of a soapbox, if you will. Just me sharing a little bit about how you can help yourself by living and providing yourself in a safe environment, a safe context environment. And so that's what I'm doing with this webinar. This is the opening webinar of a series of webinars that allow people to stop hiding behind whatever it is that they're hiding from, to provide people with a place where they can set goals for themselves to get themselves in motion. Because that's the idea of setting goals. We can live our life solving problems all the time, but that's going to be a reoccurring spinning our tires type of scenario, is that we are going to continually spin our tires and never get out of that. Because if we continually just only problem solve, then we're just going to simply be putting out fires, so to speak. And so we want to set goals, because those are going to put ourselves in direction. So again, that's what's happening within this group. I want people to set goals. I want people to live behind or live within an environment that allows them to achieve their goals at the same time. Annie, you have a question.
Yeah, I just want to know, you know, how like a lot of people don't know how to do it on their own. So how can you help? Like what can you do? Like if somebody would say, well, that makes sense because they're listening, because, you know, the way you explained it, like it was so simple. But what now for them? Like, what are they going to do? What can they do? It's like, I know, like we get coached, but a lot of people, we've been in this environment for a while, but there's a lot of other people there that they actually don't know what to do. So how can you help them? Or what can you do?
Thank you, Annie. I appreciate that question. So what they can do is to reach out to me and provide them or give themselves a one-on-one consultation on how I can help them. Because this is a group setting where I can help people set goals, provide that safe environment, and maybe possibly set some rules for themselves. But maybe they're still thinking about, is that right for me? Is that someplace where I want to be? And so I just want to give people an opportunity to have a one-on-one coaching consultation with me to help and see if this is a good fit for them, so that we can set rules, not only where we set rules within this group to hold a very tight context, but we help people set rules for themselves, because everybody lives a different life. How many people would agree? By a show of hands, how many people would agree that we all have our own life to live? Right. So thank you. So the reason that I say that is that we can set rules within this environment to hold everybody accountable, but I can help you set rules for your own life as well. And that's why I created my Little Voice Mastery Goal Setting, Life Mastery Goal Setting program. It's an 8-week program. That's something on the side, but I don't want to confuse people. So I'm going to slow down a little bit. I've got an online program where I coach people as well. But this particular scenario is about just creating a safe environment. And if they're interested and they think that this could be something of value to them, then just simply reach out to me. I'll put it on a link onto how to reach and book a time with me and get onto a call. So if that works for you, does that answer your question, Andy?
Well, it does, because I, you know, as you were doing the cup, I kind of went, oh. And when you said, you know, things change in our life, but it's important to have the context that even though like I know this cup, but for a moment I actually stepped into the seat of a person that doesn't know any of that. And I felt this thing where I went, what now? But how do I create those rules? The little voice, and it took me back to one of the strategies in a little voice, that it took me on my own 2 years to wake up to. 2 years. And it was the hardest one that I was dealing with. And there it was, and I listened to it every single day, and it didn't gel. Whereas if I would have had a coach, or I would have had somebody to coach me through the strategies of the 21 little voice, and I read it and I listened to it, and it didn't gel. And in the end it did, because I was persistent. But there's a lot of people there that don't do that. So to me, it's like, how are you going to help them get this little voice mentoring and goals and all of that? So for a moment, and I'm not kidding here, I stepped into the world of this of somebody who doesn't know how to do it, and that's why I asked the question. I was in there and I'm going, so what now? So you actually have an 8-week program, do you?
That's correct, yeah. So, and Laura, who's on the call, she just experienced that 8-week program. So not only did we do goal setting, but we also went through little voice techniques on how to actually achieve your goals. So I took it a step further. So thank you for asking, Annie.
That's great.
I took the championship level goal setting program, and I took it to another level.
Oh, wow.
And I did that by simply adding little voice mastery techniques, because it's one thing for us to just share the goal setting process that my coach Blair Singer and another one of my coaches, Mac Newton, created. But it's another thing to actually gain control of your little voice in order to do the things that program teaches you how to do. Because it's one thing to set goals. It's one thing to recognize your reason why you deserve your goals that you're setting for yourself. But it's another thing to actually gain control of your little voice to help you accomplish it. And so that's why I created that 8-week program to get people to that next level. So if you're going to compare the two things, I've got two things available to people. One, I've got an 8-week coaching program that's going to go live here within the next couple of weeks. I'm going to start the next session of it. And that's to help people set goals, learn the process on how to achieve their goals, and then also learn techniques on how to control their little voice. That's an 8-week coaching program that I've started at a cost of $200. Crazy, crazy high value for a very low cost. I know, it's crazy, right? So thank you, thank you. And then this program, the reason that I started this webinar today is because, and the reason that Laura is on this call, if you don't mind me saying, Laura, is because she completed that 8-week program and she just wanted continued coaching. She just wanted to continue being in an environment that helps her moving forward. And so that's why I started this webinar today. It's all about giving people an opportunity to be in a safe environment where people can learn from one another and help them overcome and get past that ceiling that they've hit or that plateau that they've hit in their lives, and just continue to learn and grow. And so that's what I'm offering here today.
Let's give Steve a round of applause.
Oh.
I think it's awesome, Steve. It's really awesome. I heard all those 2 flip charts for the last 8 years, and I really loved the way you incorporated it into life, because the way we were learning it was in a different context, whereas I was completely mesmerized by your words. I'm going, I'm loving that. And I started to think about how could I incorporate that into my relationship coaching. So thank you so much. It's like I'm so inspired now to do my own Stop Hiding video.
Awesome. Oh, that's beautiful, Annie. And so and that's exactly why I did it, because I've learned so much in my experience. I've learned so much working and supporting people with disabilities in the care home industry, or in for nonprofits, or in the school industry. I have so much from those experiences, but then when I add on the fabulous tools and content that I've learned from Blair Singer Training Academy, when I mesh those two things together, I just believe I have an opportunity to really help people achieve great and beautiful things in their life, to help them become the best version of themselves. So that's what this webinar is all about today. And so if anybody's interested in being a part of this program, just the weekly calls. If you got inspired from this call and you'd like to be a part of the next one, I'm gonna blow your mind here, Annie. Are you ready? I want you to hold on to something. You blow your mind. So this is just a weekly call that's gonna hopefully inspire people to keep moving forward at a low cost of $40 a month. $40 a month. And the reason that I'm doing that is because it's just an open coaching call where I simply share a piece of content and then we learn from one another. And so there'll be no specific structure to the call each week. It's just simply going to be an open coaching call where we learn from one another, where we share with one another, where we're in a safe environment, open to share, be willing to be a little bit vulnerable, be willing to grow. And that's what this is all about. And so for $40 a month, you can join our weekly calls. Or for $200 a month, you can join my 8-week program where it's specifically going to get you to the next level. So that's what this is all about. So for that, visit meetwithstevek.com. Meet with Steve K. What is it? Now I don't even remember my address. I can't even, I'll have to put it on. I'll put it on the link when I make the YouTube so that we can repeat this. But it's Meet with Steve K. something or other. My booking calendar to book a call. And now I'm just having fun with it. So ladies, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here and being part of this call. For anybody else that listens to this call, I want you to know that you're powerful. You have amazing ability. You have a beautiful light inside of you that needs to shine bright for the world because you have a message to share. And so if I can help you share that message with the world, I would be absolutely honored. And so thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video till the end. And I hope that you take the time to book a one-on-one consultation with me to help you get to the next level. Until then, smile and be awesome.
Thanks, Steve. This was awesome.
Nice
See you later.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you, Laura and Tracy.